Welcome in to Green Daily, Action Network's daily sports betting show. I'm Maria Marino. You can catch us every weekday at 3 o'clock Eastern on the Action Network app and YouTube channel. Green Daily is presented by BetMGM. Use bonus code ACTION when signing up to get up to $1,000 first bet insurance. Terms and conditions apply. So here's what's going on today. Of course, conference tournaments in men's college basketball continue. We got the Big East tourney just up the road from here, where I am in our New York studio at Action Network. Sean Koerner will hook us up with some picks from that and more. We'll also get a pulse on the NHL with Mike Leboff. That's coming up. But naturally, like everyone else, we're waiting to see if Aaron Rodgers indeed goes to the Jets, as ESPN reported optimism from the Jets side of things. Vegas already preparing for such a move. Jets have the 6th best odds to win the Super Bowl right now at BetMGM. Also have the 2nd best odds to win the AFC East at plus 250. Bills are still the leaders in the East with even odds at plus 100. And the Jets have the 4th best odds to win the AFC behind the Chiefs, Bills, and Bengals. Wow. As we await anything new on that, we tip off the show in the NBA. Unfortunate turn of events last night for the Suns as Kevin Durant was set to make his home debut, but slipped and turned his ankle. He's set to have an MRI at some point today to determine the severity of that injury. So with that, we bring in our senior NBA writer, Matt Moore. Matt, great to see you. How do you think the latest KD injury news affects how the Pacific Division and the West as a whole will shake out?
Yeah, obviously an unfortunate quote unquote turn, bad pun there, of events
I knew I was doing that, but
yeah, for the Suns anyway. As Durant, there's belief that he may have suffered a grade 2 sprain, which is going to have him out several weeks. There's actually an early report indicating that it might be through the end of the regular season. Now, the imaging will tell more about that. There's obviously going to be optimism he can return here in a few weeks. But this does take, I think, a lot out of the Suns' margin for error. They are undefeated since Durant joined, and they are playing much, much better. Devin Booker's is fantastic. The Suns are not going to suddenly spiral out of control, but this does remove a lot of their kind of buffer. This lowers their floor a little bit. And as such, and we told you the other day, the Kings have a little bit of value. Kings are still plus 130 in the market. The Sacramento Kings team refuses to go away. The beam keeps lighting. And as such, I think that there's still value on the Kings to win the Pacific Division at plus 130. They do have a 3-game lead. Durant covers for games where if you're not executing on a team level well, Durant's ability to just go out and put up 40 because he's Kevin Durant, that helps buffer against some of that. That's now going to be absent for a little while. I still think Devin Booker is going to play amazing. The Suns will still finish with a very good record. They're going to finish with the top 6. They won't slip into the play-in tournament, but I do think that there's a little bit of value there on the Kings at plus 130. I'll also say this could wind up impacting the Warriors as well. The Warriors right now, they're in the 5th spot in the Western Conference. They're obviously chasing the Suns. If there's any sort of possibility of them being able to avoid Phoenix, that would obviously help them a ton. If they wind up in a 4-5 versus the Clippers or Mavericks, that sets up much better for them. If you look at the bet Phoenix, there's actually, I think, an opportunity later. The market hasn't reacted yet to this news. Like, they're going to go ahead and wait based off of the performance. But if the Suns were to slip it all, then you'll be able to get a better value on Phoenix later. Like, even if they just slip a few spots to the 6th spot, their overall path to the Western Conference might honestly improve if they're facing Memphis in a first round series, given where Memphis is at. So there's an opportunity, I think, later to get in on Phoenix.
Still not, of course, what they had in mind when they gave up everything that they gave up at the trade deadline to get Durant. But you mentioned Memphis and some news on John Morant this morning. Can you break that down for us and how it affects the outlook in the West?
For sure. So John Morant was cleared by Glendale, Colorado police yesterday. Despite his presence and the Instagram video, the police were unable to ascertain whether the gun was loaded, if the gun was his, if it was actually a gun. In the absence of evidence, they have dropped all investigation going forward on Morant. So he avoids a problem there. He's out at least 4 more games, the Grizzlies announced, as he tries to get right with whatever his situation currently is mentally. The league is still investigating this matter. And so there's been a little bit of the league letting the Grizzlies handle this internally. However, the Grizzlies will have to walk a fine line between making sure that appropriate discipline is handed down while the league's still investigating whether or not a gun is able to be proven to have been on team or league property. Either one, and that's a major violation for Morant that could result in a further suspension. I would not say that Morant is completely in the clear here after these 4 games. It's possible, but the league is still investigating. Until we know more, I think you still have to kind of wait and see as far as when you expect Morant to be back. Meanwhile, today, the Grizzlies announced that Steven Adams is going to be out 4 more weeks. He has a stem cell injection in the right knee that's been bothering him, so he's going to be out longer. They are severely limited in the front court now. It's down to basically Jaren Jackson Jr., who has his own history of injuries, and Xavier Tillman. So they are very limited in terms of their front court depth right now. Something to keep in mind for both props betting and game betting going forward.
Not looking good. And you told me a couple of days ago, you're generally staying away from Memphis for the long term this season because of all of the uncertainty surrounding the team. But you do like them tonight. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm on Grizzlies plus 2.5 here versus the Warriors. A couple of factors here. Memphis has always matched up very well with Golden State. So the Warriors are turnover prone. That's what they do, is they turn the ball over. And the Grizzlies, their best chance of being able to score on you with a pretty mediocre half-court offense is to force turnovers, get out on the break, and score. The bigger problem here is the Warriors on the road. The Warriors on the road this season are 9-23 against the spread. That is the worst against the spread record in at least 20 years. That's only as far as we have data going back further. It's possible the Warriors may wind up as the worst against the spread road team in NBA history, and we just don't know it. That's how bad they are. Their defense absolutely melts when they are on the road. Memphis's offense absolutely surges at home. And you say, no, John Morant, absolutely. But you still got Desmond Bane. You still got a very well-coached team. You have a size mismatch with Jaren Jackson Jr. going against that front court. I'll take the Grizzlies plus 2.5 at home. I think this is an overreaction in the market to where Memphis is at, and the market's simply not able to account for how bad Golden State is on the road. I'll take the points with the home team and the Grizzlies.
None of us are able to account for how bad they are on the road. All right, Matt, we appreciate the time. And we're going to go over to college hoops now. Lots of conference games tonight, as mentioned. And interesting, heavy money coming in on Tennessee, taking on Ole Miss. Meanwhile, more than half of bets and almost all the money is on Texas facing Oklahoma State. So joining us for some college basketball picks is Action Network Director of Analytics, Sean Koerner. Sean, good to work with you for the first time. And I understand you have your eyes on a Big East game tonight.
Yeah, so for my first prop, I'm going to the DePaul-Xavier matchup. And the prop I love here is Jack Nunge over 7.5 rebounds. You can get it at minus 130 right now. He's cleared this number 60% of the time in conference play this season, but this is a plus matchup for him. DePaul plays at a faster pace. They're a below average shooting team. They don't really get to the line often, so there's going to be a ton of rebound chances for Nunge on the defensive end. Plus, he tends to chip in, a couple offensive boards every game, and DePaul actually allows the highest offensive rebound rate in the country. So this is a great spot for Nunge. We're projecting him closer to 9 rebounds, actually, and a 65% chance to clear 7.5. So I love this prop tonight.
I also love just like walking around Manhattan and seeing people wearing their like various Big East team garb. You wear a lot of hats. I know that. So I'm sure if you were here, you would be rocking like a DePaul or
probably an Xavier hat for tonight. Yeah, exactly.
See, I'm getting a handle on his like whole process here. By the way, Jets hat on today? Telling. Okay.
Just in case we had some breaking news,
I love that. We all have to be, ready for any of that potential breaking news. But I digress. Over in the SEC, you also have your eyes on the Arkansas-Auburn game. So which prop stood out to you there?
Yeah, so for that game, I'm going with Janai Broome under 15.5 points. This is just a really tough matchup for Broome. against a very good Arkansas defense. They rank 16th in Ken Palm's adjusted efficiency metric. And they're a very good matchup inside. They have the height to handle Broome, who's 6'10". Usually he can bully other teams, but Arkansas has the size inside to match up with him. And they're going to focus on slowing him down here. But one of the sneaky reasons why I love this under is Broome, he's always prone to getting into foul trouble. But against Arkansas, he's really prone to that. They get to the line at the 29th highest rate in the country. So this is a matchup where I could see him getting into foul trouble early or later. So that's going to cap his potential minutes, his potential points. So this is a really tough spot for him. I think he has a really low floor. Projecting him closer to 14 points with a 60% chance of finishing under 15.5 points. But like I said, his floor is really low here due to the potential foul trouble.
Fair enough. Sean Koerner, thanks for stopping by. And we have even more college basketball picks. It is March after all. So for those, we go to Stuckey.
Hey everybody, happy madness. If you're enjoying the March, let's go with a pair of small favorites tonight, starting with Arkansas. The Hogs come in here on a 3-game losing streak, whereas Auburn pretty much locked up their tournament bid officially with a win over Tennessee. So I think Arkansas will come in here as the more desperate team. Also, I just don't trust the erratic Auburn guards away from home. I think Arkansas is the better defense. They do struggle offensively, but I think they'll be able to get to the line and then get on the offensive glass, which is their best path to offense. And I think that they'll be able to do that in this particular matchup. Later in the night, let's go with another small favorite in Kansas City. Let's go with TCU laying a very short number against Kansas State. Another team similar to Auburn that I just don't trust as much away from home. They've been amazing in Manhattan, more average away from home. And I think TCU really matches up well with Kansas State. TCU has 2 primary means to offense. When they get out in transition, they score as efficiently as any team in the country. And they also can get on the offensive glass as well as anybody. And you can do both of those things against Kansas State. These 2 teams did split during the regular season, but the TCU loss was without star guard Mike Miles. He appears to be fully healthy now. I like the Horned Frogs laying the short price. What an amazing day. Enjoy it, and good luck with all of your wagers.
All right, Stuckey, thanks for that. Now let's get to hockey. And there's a full slate for tonight, but check out this market report for the Oilers-Bruins game. The overwhelming majority of bets and money are on the Boston side, as well as the over 6.5 goals. As we welcome in Action NHL analyst, Michael Leboff. Mike, it's really nice to meet you and work with you for the first time. What's your outlook on the Oilers-Bruins tonight?
Looks like a lot of pain for this bet. The Bruins 10 in a row. They are on a historic pace in this regular season. They could catch the Montreal Canadiens for the best regular season point total of all time. So why not bet against them here? It's weird too. Like they've won 10 in a row and the hockey world just isn't even talking about them because they just keep kind of doing things like this. But quietly, the Oilers are trending up. A lot of what the Oilers have dealt with in terms of inconsistency is coming down to goaltending. And with Stuart Skinner in goal, the Oilers are just a different team. Jack Campbell struggled mightily all season after signing a big contract with the Oilers. But Skinner, who's a rookie, pretty calming influence back there, has been solid basically from start to finish. And the Oilers' defensive numbers, whether it's Skinner or Campbell in goal, have been really good. So even though we think of these 2 teams, they're 1 and 2 in terms of goals scored this year in the NHL, it's really the defense that's the key here. Edmonton's defensive numbers with Skinner behind them should be good enough to give them a chance to turn this game into a coin flip, and at plus 140. That's all you're looking for here.
Yeah, going a little bit against the public in this one, and that's your pressing advice for this evening. But what about looking ahead in the futures market? What do you think has good value at this point?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago on Line Change, our NHL podcast, my co-host Nick Martin and I decided to never bet on the Calgary Flames again. So why not bet on the Calgary Flames here, stay in Alberta? They're 55-1 to win the Stanley Cup. Before the season, they were 18-1. And then everything kind of just went off the rails for this team throughout the campaign. Bad goaltending, just the team didn't gel after a bunch of big players came in and out over the offseason. But they're only 4 points behind Winnipeg, who's really struggling right now for the last playoff spot in the West. And the West is wide open. Colorado's probably the only quote-unquote elite team of the bunch. And in all likelihood, Calgary will not face them until at least the second round of the playoffs. So as long as this team remains like in good form, which if they get into the playoffs, that means A, they're in good form because they'd have to have played well down the stretch, and B, their goaltending will be sorted out because they're going to need their goaltenders to play well to be in good form. You're going to get a hot team going into a wide open playoff race. And like I said, they were 18-1 before the season started, and this team hasn't changed. So getting like almost triple the odds on them. So yeah, it's a bet that's not likely to win, but if you're looking for a long shot at this junction of the season, the Flames are it.
All right, keeping an eye on Calgary. Mike, that's all we have for you today. Thanks so much for joining us.
Anytime.
In addition to those NHL picks, we had some gems in the NBA as well as men's college basketball on today's show. Remember, you can see all of our expert picks by following Green Dot Daily on the Action Network app. And Green Dot Daily is presented by BetMGM. So be sure to use bonus code ACTION when signing up to get up to $1,000 worth of first bet insurance. Terms and conditions apply. Thanks so much for watching Green Dot Daily. A reminder, we are on every weekday at 3 Eastern on the Action Network app and the YouTube channel. I'm Maria Marino. I'll see you again Friday at 3. Be there.